Oh, it's Mike.
What's up, man?
Hey, what's going on, Mike?
Hey, Mike, how's it going?
What's up?
All right, so Mike, I got a text from Mike real quick. I think he was sleeping or something, but Mike,
Am I on now?
yeah,
You're on.
We can
Oh
hear you.
shit, the video is still on another window. Damn. All right, let me kill that. Sorry about that.
No worries.
I was like wondering why I was hearing double. Oh, yeah.
Dude, we're levels. Bring your levels. We're a little hot right now.
Can you
All right,
hear?
sorry about that. Turn the gain down.
If I need to, I can use headphones. That might help.
All right, is that better?
Yeah, can you hear? Okay.
I can hear fine.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So you said the account of Ricky Vaughn was not correct.
I was not saying that. First of all, I said that the account, I think that it was wrong was that Ricky Vaughn was a white nationalist, then went civic nationalist, and this is why this incident happened. I don't think that's accurate. Now, as far as anything that happened between Nehlen and Ricky behind the scenes when he was employed by him, I have no idea. I can't speak to that at all. I do think that even if what Anon is arguing is true, that doxing Ricky is a very bad move. I don't see how, if trust in the community is a problem, if efforts to split the community are a problem, that doxing Ricky is helpful to this issue. So I'll say that in response to what Anon was saying. But I was just saying I don't think it's accurate that Ricky was once a white nationalist, now a civic nationalist. I think he was always sort of kept his views kind of close to the chest and was sort of broadly sympathetic to the alt-right and to some of our goals, but kind of kept, sort of like a right-wing guy, generally speaking, wanted to see things move towards the right, but kind of kept things close to the chest in terms of his ideological beliefs.
Yeah, I never saw Ricky Vaughn as a white nationalist, ever. Or alt-right. Maybe he maybe a fellow traveler, but I never.
Yeah, that's what I think is the best way to describe it. A fellow traveler, and I understand that there's a narrative out there, like what Anon is saying, that he's a subversive, he's actively undermining the alt-right, and I know that he did go on a bunch of tirades on Twitter and on Gab over the last 2 months that pissed off a lot of people, really a lot.
Podcast.
Yeah,
and I confess I did not see all of that. I was not a witness to it. Because I just wasn't paying attention I have a ton of other crap to do.
But that doesn't warrant the doxing. That's the whole thing.
I also just think that doxing him because of that is bad. We actually were today. I had a debate with Ricky scheduled.
Oh wow!
On these very issues, where we were going, because I know he had said, white identity is it's not genuine, or he had problems with it, or he thought that there was issues with it. And we were going to have a debate today. I was going to go on the Vaughncast, and we were going to hash this out. I also will say, though, that Ricky did also issue an apology for some of his behavior on the TRS forum. He did do a long post where he said, I know I've been really abrasive. I've pissed off a lot of people. Sometimes I wasn't being totally appropriate in the way I was behaving, and he apologized. So I don't know if I buy that he was subversively trying to split the alt-right. I think he was definitely putting pressure because he wanted to see it go in a certain direction. But that's kind of what that's kind of what people do when they put views out there. They're trying to get things to go in a certain direction. That's what I do. So I don't know if I. Yeah, it seems like I just don't think doxing it was the right way to handle it. I wanted to challenge what he was saying. I thought he was saying things that were wrong. I didn't agree with a lot of it. I thought it was way too over the top, some of the ways he was attacking people. And I thought his whole thing of white isn't even a real thing. I mean, that was deliberately provocative. And I wanted to debate all this stuff with him. And that was supposed to happen today. I thought that would have been a great podcast, but now it's not happening. So I just think that's a shame.
Yeah.
Mike, let me ask you the following question.
Yeah, I think Anon wants to respond. I'll respond to all questions here.
I mostly agree with Mike. I don't honestly think that doxing was maybe the best way to handle it.
Fucking based.
Getting rid of the emotional males is good. Did it in defense of his campaign. But Vaughn was going after people that he was supposedly allied with, people that he literally was getting paid by at one point. If we're going to have some disagreements, present it privately. Don't sit there and attack people publicly. We need to put forward a unified front.
No, I think that's the opposite of what happened. And all right, I think the doxing is the worst thing they could have possibly done.
I gotta say
what you're talking about
It's
right
a
there.
nuclear
Sowing any
option.
kind of you. That's not nuclear option. That's the opposite of what you're talking about.
Yeah,
no one is going to feel unified under a banner of, if I have the wrong thing said, all of a sudden my life's fucked.
I mean, I gotta say, like, I agree with you that we are way too disunified. Things are, like, there's way too much infighting, there's way too much backbiting and sniping at each other. But I think, like, doxing a guy because there's not enough unity is, like, I don't even know. It's like shooting it's like, I can't even think of a good metaphor. Like,
It's not simply because there's not unity, but because of what he was doing on Gap, presenting his fucking financial campaign statements and making up a narrative based on them that, frankly, from what I had seen, wasn't really that true.
So Ricky was doing that? Ricky put out the finances, the campaign finances?
That's what I had seen before his fucking Gab got taken down. It's gone
Okay,
now.
well, let me point out the following. Okay, if he had been working with Nehlen, right? And he worked in some capacity on the campaign, then he obviously must have signed some sort of non-disclosure agreement.
You
right?
would
because
think,
that's very
but
standard.
I don't put it past Nehlen at this point to have not done
Not
so.
having shit together.
Donald Trump.
Well, he obviously doesn't. But look, we'll get into that in just a second. The point I'm trying to make is that, see, if Nehlen saw this guy, Ricky Vaughn, being an asshole, and we don't have to defend Ricky Vaughn to be against the doxing. And we can say that doxing is bad and Ricky Vaughn was being an asshole. If what you're saying is true, I don't know the specifics, but I'll take your word for it. If he was like spewing out confidential information into the public sphere, then
It's
Nehlen
not
should have.
even confidential.
Okay.
I will be honest.
Or just
the NBC
drawing-
reports are not confidential.
Okay,
It's just
but
the
point
narrative
is-
he used his platform to spin him with.
Okay,
And that's
but
a
what
problem.
Nehlen did, okay, is bad for the following reason. Because what happens is that, see, Ricky Vaughn was being a dick. Everybody knew that he was being a dick, okay, or the people who cared about this knew that he was being a dick. But Nehlen, by going to the nuclear option, as you called it, right, he made himself the dick, okay? And he's a politician who's supposed to be gaining adherence, not antagonizing people. And he's basically saying, effectively saying, that if you don't agree with everything that I'm saying, then, you know, I'm going to dox you. I'm going to disqualify you from the whole movement. I'm basically saying, Nehlen is basically saying, I have a purity test, and if you don't pass this purity test, I will fuck you up. And that's the way to antagonize people. That's not a way a smart politician wins an election. Okay? I mean, what the fuck is he
That's
doing?
one way to look at it, but you also have to realize that Nehlen is reaching out to people that aren't in any sort of close circle to the alt-right. He's reaching out to normies in Wisconsin. They don't care about our politics, but they see this kind of stuff, and it's going to make an issue of it. It's a cross issue, and frankly, I'll give Ricky some credit on it. You know, if you want to attack Nehlen, smart place to do it. It's something that resonates with people that don't care about identity politics. It's, oh, let's go after how he's financing his campaign, what he's spending his money on. Oh, he's giving $1,000 a week to his wife. Gee, that looks funny. Well, if his wife's actually working, well, maybe she deserves to get paid.
Maybe. Can I throw a question to you? And maybe
Sure.
I can go with it much more practically here. The premise of you coming onto the show, yes, was because you disagreed with the portrayal of what was being said, right?
I disagreed with the focus on it being just on the doxing event and not even mentioning the things that led up to it.
Oh, that's fine. But the point is, you disagreed. When you came on, what was the first thing that Bake did?
I'm having a hard time remembering because it's 3:30 in the
He
morning.
told you that we weren't going to show your identity. She told you we weren't going to dox you. And we got another thing to call you by.
Okay.
And there's a
Yeah.
reason why you asked for that.
Yeah, there is. I will give that.
Just
The
mull
difference
that
is-
over.
Yeah.
And I am mulling that over. I also am not an employee of Paul Nehlen or a former employee. Got in a personal business relationship that was making over $2,000 a month. Didn't work out. And then when it didn't work out, decided to start attacking my former employee with a platform that I already had, that I had advertised to Paul Nehlen as existing to his benefit.
Is that nothing that you're saying justifies what Nehlen did?
No, you want other people to have a different rule than you get.
It's a lack of trust and faith.
No,
And you're only going to breed more dissension.
Well,
The other
and
thing
less
is-
trust.
Another thing is
Paul
this,
Nehlen
like,
and Cantwell
One
is
second.
right. Ricky Vaughn is AIDS. He's trying to destroy the movement. Ricky Vaughn has zero edge. He is worse than the Privilege Bridge. Enjoy this cancer.
All right. Thanks, bud. Go ahead, Mike. Enoch.
oh, I just think that when talking about issues of like trust and reaching out and things like that, like this is gonna fuck shit up on that front for a while.
Oh yeah.
And
I don't disagree.
and like I am now.
Hold on, Mike.
Fucking back together. I don't want to, speculate on what went on between Ricky and Nehlen. I don't want to speculate on, anything. But this, I mean, and because, as you said, many people don't care about these details, don't know about them. What we see is this guy's face on the front of the Huffington Post, and massive amounts of ammo given to the left. And, I don't know much about Nehlen's campaign. I kind of stopped paying attention to it several months ago when it seemed like it was non-viable anymore.
It was, yeah.
And so, like, this kind of is all news to me. Like, I didn't even know that Ricky was working for him. I didn't know this. But it seems that almost kind of makes it worse in a way. But, like, I just think that, like, it's sort of like, all right, so Nehlen has this grudge with Ricky. They've got a grudge with each other. And now everyone is supposed to be dragged in with the idea that, like, Ricky is engaged in, like, a conspiracy to split the... It's like, how do I know that this isn't something that's being put out also by somebody with a grudge? And see, when things like this happen, when there's, like, it's like everything is going great in this movement, or everything would be great if not for, like, this one dude who's doing this bad thing, then everything will be fine once we get rid of him. It's like that attitude. I've seen that attitude on multiple different sides, and this is not the first time I've seen that attitude on multiple different sides being in this thing. And it makes people get to the point where, like, a lot of people are just, like, thrown in the towel, and they're like, fuck this. It's not worth it. What the hell am I doing? And I'm seeing that, and I'm wanting to avoid that for obvious reasons, because, this is kind of a thing that I'm doing. And it just, if you are correct, and I think you are, that the problem is unity in this movement and cutting down on infighting, then I think that these kind of activities that destroy trust, like, just, they can't be accepted. Like, it's just...
Real quick,
not,
I'm hearing you kind of okay, but some people I think are having trouble hearing. It's coming in weird and breaking up a little bit.
That's me?
Yeah, Mike, your mic is very hot. If you could turn down the gain,
Shoot, man.
you're like...
Oh, yeah, all right.
Really?
Mike, can I respond to you a bit?
Yeah, and real quick, I want to throw this in there. I'm getting...
Check.
Yeah, that's much better.
Too hot.
Still?
Still too hot. Still too hot.
All right, let me just back away from it.
Yeah, that's better. This is sort of, I didn't know this, breaking news. I just received some text messages of a literal text message from Paul Nehlen that says, talking about this guy, LA Werewolf, who criticized him. And he said, tell LA Werewolf I'm going to dox him on Gab and Facebook, and that will probably be very bad for him. And LA Werewolf had nothing to do with any of this shit, so all your arguments about Ricky Vaughn, this, and work for the... They're done. I have
This is just fucking lame at this point.
What pussy move?
Jesus Christ in heaven.
So wait, Baked, that's definitely Nehlen. That's not someone fucking with you?
I got this from the Red Elephants, and they have an actual text message. This is not they're not fucking with me. This is like a...
Okay, well, let's to be confirmed. Okay,
Most of them, once you confirm.
What's up?
Wait for it to get confirmed, but it don't look good.
It's okay.
No,
Okay,
it's
I'll
not.
say.
Hold on. Here's something else really fucking unfortunate. Really
Yeah.
fucking unfortunate is that now this is something within the realm of possibility, thanks to the dumb shit that was done already.
Exactly. Now, here's the reality of the situation. At the end of this equation, what are we going to find? Irrespective, let's suppose, just for the sake of argument, that message bake that you just got is like not true, and it was just
Sure.
somebody made it up. Just for the
Yeah.
sake of argument.
Okay.
Just with what Nehlen's done here with the Ricky Vaughn situation, nobody can take him seriously as a political figure into the future
Right.
because he's shown himself to be an idiot, where he's shooting at his own people.
Hell yeah.
Okay. So you irrespective of anything moving forward, how can anybody trust a guy who's shown himself to be giddy at the thought of doxing somebody who worked for him? It doesn't matter that Ricky Vaughn was an asshole. We can all agree that he was an asshole.
Yeah.
But to dox him like that and to put his livelihood in danger, potentially, we all know that Antifa, they're not friendly to people whom they consider quote unquote fascists, right? So what Nehlen did ends his career because who's going to trust such a guy? And you need to trust a man in order to follow him. And who can trust this man? I'm asking everybody.
Off
So-
with it.
so,
Off with your fucking head if you say the wrong thing. Apparently.
I'm like real curious where about this message though. That was on, where is that? Twitter, Gab, where are you getting it from? Someone texted it to you?
Well, yeah. I said before, who a very credible, very credible. Like I know this person has his phone number, and
Okay.
it literally says about LA Werewolf, who he's a YouTuber who criticized Nehlen, and he says, "Tell LA Werewolf I'm going to dox him on Gab and Facebook, and that will probably be very bad for him." And then has a bunch of pictures of him. Yeah.
I just hope that's not true. I mean, if that's true, then basically you can't criticize Nehlen or you get doxxed if he knows who you are, which is a really bad.
It's very bad.
A very pussy move, maybe.
If he's going out there trying to find some people that might buy this reasoning for justifying his doxing of Vaughn, if he does it to somebody else, that's out the window too. So
yeah, that would ruin it.
I don't know that. And guys like Anon here who tried to go to bat for him, he's gonna make you look like an asshole, and that's bullshit because you tried to go to bat for the guy. So I don't. I mean, it's like we've all had that sinking feeling when I've gone to bat for people that like then a couple of days later they went ahead and did like the same thing, and I was just like
Something involving boxes.
yeah, I think that might. I think I vaguely recall something along that line, but yeah. So I don't know. I didn't want to come in here to stir any more of the infighting or stir or say anything bad about anybody or cast aspersions.
You did decent trying to defuse it, like for real.
I'm just trying to say, like, this is a rough patch. We got to get through it, and I don't approve of doxing. I don't think that could ever be justified.
Yeah,
All
dude.
Hey, I want to ask you something real quick, Mike, before each other.
Go ahead.
Does this not kind of turn it into this weird kind of blood in, blood out kind of thing that's just going to make it harder to get anybody to hear anything that anybody has to fucking say?
Yes. Yeah, no, it is. It is, and it's going to reduce trust. It's going to make it harder for people that want to come in. It's got a number of. There's a lot of bad drawbacks to it. I just we're trying to recover from some of the blows that we've taken over the last year and get back on track. And the thing that kills it is like there are a lot of these problems. Like people have a lot of criticisms for the alt-right, and like low key, I'm kind of sitting there like, yeah, I get why you have that criticism. I totally understand it. But like we are like ultimately right about what's happening. Like there is a anti-white sentiment out there. There are anti-white policies pursued by the government, immigration policies, affirmative action policies. White people are steadily declining in numbers as non-whites are increasing, and Europe is being invaded. Like all of these things are happening, and we're like fighting amongst ourselves, and it's like it has to stop. And I know that there's grudges and there's enemies that have been made, and I don't know how those things are going to be settled, but.
With that happening, then, with all of that stuff happening, and your ideas already being, in the minority and dangerous to have. You could get fucking fired if people find out they listen to your show, for instance. People get fired for that kind of shit. It's like, wouldn't you want to kind of give people this thing of, look, if you want to come hear us out, we'll have your back. You can come hear it out over here, and we're not going to give you any shit about it. You won't have to worry if you disagree, but come hear it out.
That's always been my policy. I've always tried to do that.
Yeah, that seems so much more useful than whatever the fuck this is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I want to be clear, like, Mike, I want to be clear. This is tragic for me to have to say these. I really like Paul Nehlen, like, as a guy. Like, I like him. I think he's a good guy, and like, it's just, it sucks. Like, I wasn't excited to hear this news. I just want to be clear about that. Like,
do you guys think it's the political campaign thing getting to
Now
you?
that's fucking based. Paul Nehlen should stop being a bitch and get on stream.
exactly. I feel like Paul needs to get on a stream and talk. He's got some explaining to do. At least Cantwell got on earlier and showed his face. Like, Paul needs to come on a stream.
I'm not really looking to get into a blood sport.
No.
On you thing
No,
here.
no.
Like, that would not be. I don't think that'd be productive. For anybody.
No. I'm not.
But,
I'm not saying right now, but I'm saying he needs to
Now that's
make a
fucking
video
based.
or
Right to
something.
Britain Broadcast was the one
I mean,
who released,
he
which
might
was
feel
public
justified in what
Nehlen's
he's done
campaign.
and is going to defend it.
Details, not Ricky.
I don't
Ricky-
expect contrition from him on this. I think he feels like his back's against the wall. But again, this is also, I'm trying to stay clear of the blast radius on this. I want to just make it clear that, like, this is like generally this is a thing our community is very much against, and there used to be a feeling that anonymity was a precious thing that you could count on when you came into our circles, that you knew that at the very, there's people that have like deep hatreds for each other that have not doxed each other, and so that's what I wanted to come on and say. That's really it.
And Mike, can I say something
Isolate.
to Mike?
Go ahead, real quick.
Hello?
Yeah, real quick. He's got to go to bed, so make it quick.
Yeah, I'm long past my bedtime. Mike, I think you're right that, the in-group, we should have that kind of respect for anonymity. And when you leave that in-group, you maintain that respect for anonymity. You maintain a sort of positive
Hell yeah.
or at least professional treatment of each other. I think that's part of where we got off. That's where Ricky Vaughn left with Paul Nehlen, is he stopped having that sort of professional courtesy in that he started going on the attack. I'm not going to say it justifies the doxing. I understand, but it's nuclear. I think that something that the movement as a whole lacks is we don't have a sort of a channel for this. Instead of, maybe going up the chain to people that communicate across groups, whether it be TRS, Identity Europa, Traditional Workers Party, RIP, gone, whatever groups, they could settle it in the back channels without it becoming public. Having this kind of fighting become public makes everyone look bad, and it just results in extreme actions like what Paul Nehlen did. And it sucks. I feel bad for Ricky. I feel bad that Nehlen had to do it, but
No, Nehlen didn't have to do it. He didn't.
Yeah.
He chose to do it.
or he could continue to endure the slings and arrows of his campaign while campaign contributions may.
Hell yeah.
I don't want
He has to suck it up.
I'm not going to go on a rant about to defend why he may have done it. I understand.
Okay, I get that you understand, but like, dude, do you realize that now his campaign, he's
over.
Who's going to support this guy now?
Yeah.
And he took a possibility of continuing to get criticized by Ricky, and he fucking dropped a nuke right in the middle of his campaign.
Yeah, he did. I wonder if maybe if we had back channels to discuss this, kind of coordinated, if maybe this wouldn't have happened.
No,
I
look,
mean,
look,
there are back channel people talk to each other, but I didn't even know this controversy was going on until a couple of days ago, and then I started getting filled in on it. But I don't know, man. Maybe if we also had people that just didn't dox people, that would be helpful too.
Yeah.
Like,
Nehlen got his low. He's a premature ejaculator here because the guy, he's a politician, right? He wants to go to Congress, right?
He
So he
wants
has
to be a politician.
Yeah,
Yes.
so he has to keep his shit
In
together. People throw shit at him all day long. Okay, Ricky Vaughn, who'd worked for him,
Now
had
that's
turned
fucking
on
based.
him. Okay,
The two
asshole
biggest
Ricky
alt-right
Vaughn.
forums,
But he has to
TRS
keep
and
his shit organized and not, do this, drop a nuclear weapon. This is like a fucking border skirmish, and then it's like a couple of soldiers, shooting fire over the fence, right? And they drops a nuke on the fucking thing. He's a fool. It shows Nehlen that he's not capable. He doesn't have the temperament to be somebody in the mainstream. That's what it's proving.
Real quick,
Perhaps.
Crusader Cat with $2 said the two biggest alt-right forums, TRS and Stormer, got Gab to ban Nehlen. According to Cantwell, nobody supports this, even if Ricky is a civnat. Thank you, bud. And then
that's the thing that probably should have been a point. Like, people probably shouldn't try to justify it, try to make sense.
Hell yeah.
Everybody should pretty much pull the disavow card on this one and just try to minimize the damage.
yeah. So
I can tell you for sure, I have absolutely no contact with Andrew Torba. Like, I'm assuming he thinks I had something to do with him getting banned from Gab. I had nothing to do with it. I don't have any contact.
That was just a super chat. I don't know. But
that's the kind of conspiracy stuff that's not helpful.
Right.
Like that kind of immediate conspiracy theorizing of if somebody's pulling the strings here, everyone, this guy, and then because as if someone's going down in flames, they could start insinuating all kinds of things.
It sends people to look for the supervillain.